Okay, we are live. So let's go ahead and get started for tonight. Welcome everybody that's here in person and those who are online that have joined us. We appreciate you taking some time out of your day, especially on St. Patrick's Day. So happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody as well. We will go ahead and get started. We don't have Ross here tonight. We're excusing Michelle. We give our condolences to her family and wish her the best. Go ahead and get started. And I didn't actually ask somebody for a pledge of allegiance. Dan, would you mind?
Sure.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. All right, next on the list is the conflict of interest. If there are any council members here that feel they have a conflict with something on the agenda, right now would be the time to make that known.
Dan Combieman.
Chief Sorensen, none.
None for me. Okay, thank you. Move on. Next, we will open the public comment. Since we also have people online, if there are people online, I can't tell. I don't think there are. If there is anybody who joins that would like to leave a public comment, go ahead and type your name and address as well as your comment in the chat box. And I will come swing back after the people in the audience make their comments and see if there's anything that needs to be read. So open it up to members in the audience. If there is a comment you'd like to make, please step up. And do you want me to have you do it during the council comments?
Whatever you want.
Okay, let's save you
I was
for,
planning on just, because I was derelict and didn't get it as an agenda item, I was just going to do it during a public comment, but whatever you want.
I'll save that for informational items.
Great, I got to sit in.
We just want you to stay. So if there's anybody who has a general comment for the council, please take the time and state your name and address, and we'll give you your 3 minutes. Okay, nobody's rushing to the podium, and I don't see any comments online as well. So we will go ahead and close public comments. Next is the oath of office for our planning commission alternatives. Thank you guys for coming so we can get you sworn in and ready to participate in the planning commission. Michelle will go ahead and swear you in if you both at the same time, right?
Yeah, yep.
Make it easy.
Perfect.
Get in and out. You can just come up front right here.
Okay, you guys want to raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name,
I, Daniel White,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and that I will discharge the duties
and that I will discharge the duties
of my office with fidelity.
of my office with fidelity.
Okay, congratulations. Let me have you guys sign these real quick.
Guys.
I just rejoined the army.
You just rejoined. Welcome. We also need a kidney and a social security card.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you guys though for being willing to join as alternates and
Absolutely.
be contributing to the city like you guys are.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Welcome to stay and hang out. If not,
I got a
back to your
basketball
family.
game to get to, so I'm gonna head.
Okay, there.
Sorry.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Dan.
Yep.
We appreciate you coming.
Absolutely, thank you.
All right, thank you. Next is the consent agenda. Has everyone had a chance to review the different items that were there?
I reviewed them. I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as is.
Okay, we have a motion by Dan,
I'll second.
second by T. Thanks. Any discussion?
No.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. Okay, that will pass. Thank you. Oh, we need a roll call. Just kidding.
Dan Combie, yes.
Teague Sorensen, yes.
And Christie, I say yes. Okay, now we'll move on to old business. So last time we had the Bonneville student government show up to talk to us about their drug-free graduation party and ask for a donation. The city was able to come up with a donation. We do have a check for them and an award, and so we will make sure that they get that. So it doesn't look like we have anybody in the audience to accept it tonight, but we'll make sure that they get a hold of that. Next is number 6, new business. First on the list, we have our presentation of the fiscal year 24 to 25 audit, and Corey's here for that.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. My name is Corey Urey. I'm with Child Richards, CPAs and Advisors. We've done the audit for Uintah City for a few years now. It's always good to work with Michelle and the staff of the city. Everybody's very accommodating and quick to respond. So just to go through the items, the first is the little stapled pieces of paper that accompany the financial statements. This is the communication with governance letter. So it's not part of the financial statements themselves, but generally accepted auditing standards require that we communicate certain information to you. This letter is just informing you that we've audited the financial statements for Uintah City. During the year, there was the adoption of GASB 101 compensated absences. To give a brief overview of what that accounting policy is, the Governmental Accounting Standards Board, or GASB, required that any time liability, so say parental leave, sick leave, anything that wasn't having a liability accrued for it, but was being earned by employees, needed to be evaluated for a potential liability based on what was likely to be used. There were no changes that had to be had by the city because the city tracks everything with just one lump PTO bank amount. So there were no changes, but the standard had to be adopted. So that's communicated in there. Certain accounting estimates, just bringing to your attention that the estimates for useful life of fixed assets and the value of capital contributions from developers are used in the financial statements, and those are estimates. Communicating that we had no significant difficulties with management during the process of the audit. There were 2 audit findings communicated on page 2 here that didn't warrant inclusion on the schedule of findings, but were just items to bring to your attention. The first there, 2025-04 interfund services reimbursements. So the Utah State Code requires services provided by an enterprise fund to the general fund or other funds be quantified or estimated and using the same rates. So when the water fund provides water, or a sewer fund provides sewer services to things like the city hall or parks or things of that nature, there has to be either reciprocal interfund transfers or non-reciprocal interfund transfers. Essentially, is money actually changing from one fund to the other, or are we just recording the revenue and then a discount, but still recording the revenue for those services? We couldn't see that there was any kind of recording going on for that. So our recommendation was just that the city discuss what kind of recording they'd like to implement for that and then adopt it going forward. It didn't warrant inclusion on the schedule of findings because we found that the amount was not material, but warranted bringing to your attention to avoid in the case that it becomes material in the future.
This is the water meter, right?
Yeah. The next 2025-05 Utah Money Management Act deposits. So this was just the Utah State Code requires receipts received by local governments be deposited within 3 business days once they're received. As part of our testing during the audit, we just noticed an instance where the funds weren't deposited within those 3 days. After talking it over with management, our recommendation was just designating backup depositors in case someone's out of town or sick, just to make sure that that compliance is still being met. Under other matters, we just communicate as well that we did not audit the required supplementary information that accompanies this. So in the front of the financial statements, you might recall there's the management's discussion and analysis that's put together by management to kind of just overview the financial statements, as well as the pension-related information that's at the back of the financial statements. We review it as part of the audit, but we don't audit it and provide an opinion or assurance on it. The last page there is just the journal entries that were proposed in the course of the audit. The first three items there are provided by Michael Rich. So you'll note the item or the sentence in text, italic text below it says client provided entry. So those were just items provided during the course of the audit that were provided by the city's treasurer. And then the other items that are there was nothing out of the ordinary. This is just to communicate to you any journal entries we have to propose. Moving on to the actual financial statements. I won't go over every single page here, it's a lot. But I just wanted to highlight a couple of important balances or information for you guys to keep you informed. So on page 3 is our independent auditor's report. So this is our report that we've audited the accompanying financial statements for the governmental activities, business type activities in each major fund of the city. And in our opinion, the financial statements present fairly in all material respects, the respective financial position of those activities and funds and the respective changes and where applicable cash flows thereof. So it's an unmodified opinion, the clean opinion that we can give that we didn't notice anything materially wrong. So then we conducted our audit in accordance with auditing standards generally accepted in the United States, and we believe the audit evidence we obtained is sufficient and appropriate for our opinion. The report details management's responsibilities for the financial statements, as well as our responsibilities as the auditors on page 4 to exercise professional judgment and maintain professional skepticism. So we communicate a lot with the city treasurer and recorder and staff. And we have a system that is kind of trust but verify. When we ask them a question, you know, we trust that they're telling us the truth, but there has to be some kind of substantive evidence of that. We identify and assess the risks of material misstatement. So any areas that might require a closer eye, we kind of identify those. Just because there's a risk doesn't mean that something is inherently bad or something bad's going on, right? Like just how driving every day is a risk. We obtain an understanding of internal control relative to the audit and evaluate the appropriateness of accounting policies that are used. And then, so moving on to the actual numbers there on page 5 from management's discussion and analysis. So total assets of the city exceeded their liabilities by 7.9 million. 1.9 million of that was unrestricted net position that may be used to meet the ongoing obligations. The total net position decreased by about 89,000. The unrestricted net position of the city increased by 190,000. The restricted net position decreased by 188,000. And the investment in the city's capital assets decreased by 91,000. The combined fund balances for governmental funds for the city were 1.5 million at the end of the year. To give kind of an overview of what we mean when these financial statements talk about government-wide or government fund financial statements, government-wide financial statements work on a basis called modified accrual. Essentially, it's looking at the year as it presently is. What cash was spent during the year, what cash was received during the year, and it presents it on that kind of a basis. Whereas the fund balances work on an accrual type basis. So for instance, property taxes that are received after the year has ended, say in March when the final distributions come in, that would be recorded as a deferred type of revenue, so like a liability account for the government-wide, but on the fund balances, that's revenue that's really received for, 24 to 25 in that instance. Whereas business type activities or enterprise funds are more of the service type funds, so like your water, sewer, stuff that's being provided to citizens. On page 7 is a condensed statement of net position, so your assets, your liabilities, and the excess of those assets over liabilities. There you can see for 2025, the current and other assets and governmental activities decreased. Cash was down by about 438,000, but there were receivables that increased by 74,000. Capital assets, there were some vehicles added totaling about 70,000, and lease items that the city owns decreased by about 38,000. In the business type activities, the current and other assets, there was 204,000 more cash on hand at the end of the fiscal 25 year, 16,000 more in receivables, and 9,000 more in prepaid expenses. The decrease in capital assets was primarily just assets depreciate over time and have to be reflected. The increase in current liabilities in the business type activities was just there were more accounts payable owed by the funds at the end of the year. And the decrease in governmental activities liabilities. At the end of fiscal year 2024, there was about 196,000 in tax money that was dispersed to the city, more than what should have been. So it was elected to record it as a liability in the likely event that the state would come back and ask for the money back. That money was remitted back to the state during the year, hence the decrease in the liability. On page 8, the change in net position. This is similar to a business's income statement to reflect revenues and expenses for the year. Revenues were fairly consistent, just slight increases in all areas for the governmental activities revenues. The business type activities, you'll notice there was no grant received during the year. As well, interest income was down compared to the prior year and impact fees increased. The increase in expenses there for the governmental activities were primarily due to projects that were delayed at the end of fiscal year 24 and actually occurred in fiscal year 25. On page 9, it goes over the revenue on a percentage base that taxes bring into the city. So taxes comprise about 55% of the city's total governmental revenues, and sales tax make up about 64% of the taxes that are collected and 35% of the total revenues for governmental activities. For business type activities, total revenues were 615,000, and a majority of that was for water, garbage, and recycling services. On the funds, taxes were also the primary revenue source. 57% of general fund revenues. Sales and use tax again was the largest at about 344,000. Then property tax as well at about 57,000, and franchise tax at 82,000. It is important to know general fund expenditures for the year were 158,000 more than the budgeted amount. And that is something that we'll touch on a little later, that the expenses in the general fund were in excess of the budgeted amounts there. On page 12 is the actual non-condensed statement of net position. Just a couple balances to note. There was about 2.2 million in cash across all accounts at the end of fiscal year 25, 290,000 in accounts receivable. For And total non-current assets, so again, that's your capital assets, lease receivable amounts. Total 5.6 million for about 8.2 million in assets overall. Deferred outflows that related to pension, so URS pension items come in and they have their own actuary that comes up with those numbers. So that was 59, close to 60,000 for the year. Accounts payable was just under 106,000. The note payable, so debt that was owed, was 83,000 at the end of the year. Unavailable revenue due to property taxes. So this is kind of that delinquent property tax amounts that can kind of be a holdover that I mentioned before. That was 103,000 at the end of fiscal year 25. On the statement of activities, page 13. As I mentioned before, most revenue items stayed fairly consistent. There you can note the property taxes for 57,000, general and sales and use tax for 344. To see the change in that position equivalent to like a net income for governmental activities. So your general fund, your capital projects fund, all that was 149,000 of a loss for the year. And business type activities were up. The net income or change in net position was 59,500 for the year. Page 14, the governmental funds. So this is the fund by fund for the general fund and capital project funds. The overall cash and cash equivalents and restricted cash and cash equivalents were down 438,000, as kind of mentioned before, with receivables and lease receivable being adjusted as well. Total liabilities for at the end of fiscal year 25 were down 34,000 compared to the prior year because of that decrease, or excuse me, down 34,000 after accounting for that 196,000 being taken out. So there was even more decrease in the liabilities at the end of the year. To go over these fund balance items, so ramp, Class C roads, impact fees, capital projects, and unassigned. So when money is restricted, it cannot be used for any purpose other than that purpose. So ramp money that comes in has to be used for certain items. Same with Class C roads and impact fees. The amounts that have been assigned to capital projects are not specifically restricted to capital projects, but it's money based on the cash that's in there that has been assigned by the city to future capital projects. The unassigned balance there is essentially the money that can be used to meet any day-to-day kind of obligation to citizens or creditors or anyone like that. Page 15 gives kind of a breakdown of converting, of how we convert from those individual funds to the government-wide. So as I mentioned before, the government-wide is more what is the here and now. So the deferred outflows and inflows of resources related to pensions with the net pension liability, compensated absence liabilities that aren't, immediately paid out. That kind of stuff is on here. Page 16 is the statement of revenues, expenditures, and change in fund balance, kind of like again, an income statement for the funds themselves. So your taxes revenue was up 12,000, licenses and permits were up 38,000, charges for services were up 12,000, and then the expenditures were up as well, as we mentioned before, primarily due to those projects that were coming in. You can see the highways and public improvements is 448,000 compared to the year before it was under 150,000. On page 8 is the statement of net position, so like a balance sheet of assets, liabilities, and those items for the business type activities or enterprise funds. Cash in the water fund was up 182,000, 10,000 increase in the garbage fund, and 12,000 increase for stormwater. Accounts receivable overall was up 16,000. There were some assets added during the year to the non-current assets to the water and storm system. So overall, total assets increased by 94,000. That drop being because of the accumulated depreciation change. Accounts payable under current liabilities increased by 34,000 for all funds compared to the year prior, and that's primarily due to the water fund, which sees the most accounts payable activity. On the statement of revenues, expenses, and change in fund net position on page 19, charges for the enterprise fund services increased 38,000 compared to the year prior, 30,000 of that being due to the water fund. For salaries and wages, that overall decreased by 21,000 compared to the year prior. Water purchases were up 12,000, professional services were up 9,000, and overall just operating expenses were 16,000 more than the year prior. Under non-operating revenues, impact fees increased by 15,000, and there was no grant for the year compared to the prior year. That's most of what I wanted to just kind of bring to your attention for the numbers sides of things. The notes to the financial statements dig a little deeper into, what makes up our receivable, where is this coming from, how is our capital assets split between the different funds and different types of assets, and what's our changes. But I just specifically wanted to finish off with our other reports, starting on page 51. So in addition to the audit report, we issue two other reports, a auditor's report on internal control over financial reporting for audits in accordance with government auditing standards, and our report on compliance as required by the state audit guide. The first one on internal control. So I kind of mentioned before, we gain an understanding of internal control, but we don't express an opinion on them. What we do is we meet with, this year it was with Michelle, and we just kind of talk through, okay, how does cash come into the city? How does cash go out? Who has their hands on? Who's reviewing? How is it all being documented? And during our audit, we didn't identify any deficiencies we considered to be a material weakness or significant deficiencies. Those are when the operation or the design of a control is such that we don't believe that any discrepancy would be noticed in time. Internal controls are both to protect the city and any employees or council members that are involved in the process. But we didn't identify anything that we had like a big problem with. The internal control report does reference our report on compliance and other matters, and does detail the instances of non-compliance for the compliance report that are detailed as 2025-01, -02, and -03. Moving to that compliance report, so on page 53. So all these areas that are listed on here, budgetary compliance, fund balance, justice court, these are all items from the state's compliance audit guide that we tested last year. These items on the left, budgetary compliance, fund balance, justice court, restricted taxes, fraud risk assessment, and governmental fees, those are items we test every single year as part of the audit. The items on the right, so cash management, enterprise funds, transfers, impact fees, Utah retirement systems, crime insurance, Open and Public Meetings Act, those are ones that are generally part of a 3-year rotation in terms of what we're looking at. So we're not always testing impact fees or cash management. We may test it once every 2 to 3 years. Our responsibility is to express an opinion on the city's compliance based on our audit of the state compliance requirements. And we believe our audit provides a reasonable basis for our opinion on compliance for each of the state compliance requirements referred to in the report. In our opinion, the city complied in all material respects with the state compliance requirements referred to above. So just like the audit as a whole, we gave an unmodified opinion that we had. Despite having some findings, we felt that we needed to make no material modifications. So any findings that existed that we'll go over in just a second weren't so detrimental. It's more of a, here's some areas to look at kind of thing. We didn't identify any deficiencies in internal controls related to compliance that we would consider material weaknesses. So the first one on page 55, 2025-01, is for the Open and Public Meetings Act. So when the minutes get approved by the governing body, they need to be uploaded to the Utah Public Notice website within 3 days. The item that we selected for testing wasn't uploaded within that. It was kind of similar to the cash management one we talked about before, where there just wasn't, if somebody was sick or out of town, there wasn't like a backup designated. So that was our recommendation, and the response from management that we got was there will be secondary uploaders designated if the primary uploader isn't going to make it within those 3 days. Like if somebody's going out of town or is sick. 2025-02 for the fraud risk assessment. So the Utah State Code requires the fraud risk assessment be completed and presented to the governing body by the end of the fiscal year. So the documentation that we look at is things like the minutes, the agenda, the council packet that gets passed out to you guys. We didn't see that the fraud risk assessment was included in any of those during the last fiscal year. And the assessment that we were provided had a completion date that was after June 30th. So for example, if it hasn't been done yet for fiscal year 26, to be in compliance, it has to be done sometime now, or between now and June 30th for the fiscal 26 year. And the response we got was just that will be presented by the end of the fiscal year. 2025-03 on page 56 is just budgetary compliance. So as I mentioned before, the general fund was out of balance, as well as the garbage funds were exceeded the budgeted amounts. General was much larger, but garbage fund was about 9,500 over. And when it comes to the state compliance stuff, we just have to go, is it over at all? We have to include it. So the 9,500 was less of an issue. And as with everything, if our recommendation was just to keep a closer track of where budgeted expenses are as the fiscal year closes in, and that was the response we got to implementing our recommendation. I know I've talked to your ears off for a little bit, gone over a lot, but do you guys have any questions for me? What do we do during the audit? How do we do the process? Anything that I've gone over?
No, I thank you. You presented a lot of information. Would it be a fair statement to say that the city is doing a pretty good job overall, healthy, as far as our budgets are concerned? If there's anything bad we did in the last year, the previous mayor is here, and please go ahead and blame him for whatever we need to right now. You know nothing. But is it a fair statement to say overall we're in a pretty good spot?
Yeah.
Just a few corrections.
If there was anything that would require a deeper conversation, we would have had it at this point. But generally, those significant deficiencies or material weaknesses are the real kicker, I would say, that can result in tons and tons of findings or, modified opinions if we had to give one. But the fact that we can give an unmodified opinion kind of means that, there are findings and things to, potentially improve on, come within compliance in certain areas. But it's not a matter of this whole process has to intrinsically be redesigned, right? And like I said, we had good communication with Michelle and city staff when we were looking for certain items or wanting clarification on, what was this expense or how was this paid for? And there was, a timely and accurate and substantiated kind of response, right? If we said, what is this expense? Here's the invoice. This is what it was for. This is why it's coded this way. So we had no issues in terms of how things were running or controls.
Great, thank you. Anything, good?
No questions from me.
We're good. Thank you for your time and presenting to us. We appreciate it.
Of course, thanks.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
All right, we are going to jump back to our presentation of our Christian senior class for volleyball. Do you guys want to come up? We have a contribution for you guys.
Thank you.
We would like you to donate that to your guys' class party, and we hope it's a great party.
Yes.
We appreciate you guys making a safe option for seniors, that, a safe place where they can go and enjoy and celebrate graduating, and where parents know that they're safe and
Yes,
taken care of.
For
So,
sure.
thank you guys.
so much for your
Can we have to do a picture really fast?
Yes, for sure.
Okay.
You know, just you, right?
Yeah, what? No. This is an everybody thing.
Not everybody stand.
Let's just stand right here.
All right.
Yeah. What's your test score?
Thank you.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Take a couple. Oh, not that, on a video. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you,
for your
guys.
time.
Oh.
You leave and you don't do anything around here.
My job.
Not your job, not your circuit, not your monkey.
I don't know, still my monkey.
Okay, I'm glad they were able to make it. Next on our agenda is the rain barrel program through Weber County that we discussed last time. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to think about that. We put it out to residents to see what kind of an interest there might be, and we have had 10 people respond that they are interested in participating in a rain barrel program. So just to remind everybody, the city would subsidize $28 to their purchase, which would make their purchase $60 to buy a rain barrel at that point. They don't need a huge commitment from us. We could start in we could authorize 10 barrels, and if 10 people actually call in and get it set up, then we would only be subsidizing 10. And then if there were a large demand, we could okay, 5 more, 10 more, whatever the city council feels comfortable with. But there is an interest. It would save on some of the watering that the citizens are using. So there's a benefit to conserving water, since all of our water is purchased through Weber Basin. Anything that we can do to help conserve and save would probably be beneficial to the city in the long run. So I guess at this point, I just would ask for your opinions on starting with maybe 10 barrels, okaying the city to subsidize about 10. And if we fill that up, then maybe we approve another 10. We approve another 10 if we approve 10 now, and then if it gets to that point, another 10. Would that be appropriate to do it that way?
I don't think so.
Thoughts on that?
Whose budget is it?
That's a good question. I would think it would come out of the water fund, couldn't it? I mean, we're saving from the water department in attempts to it.
Sorry, I have to ask my budget.
I know,
I think that,
used properly, it could be a great program for water conservation, and especially we'll need all the help we can get this year with the winter that we have. So a total of $280 to start does seem like an amount that would be worth the savings if it was used properly. I mean, I wish that there was some way that we could say, and they complete this training program, or, so that they could obtain the education that it requires to run rain barrels. But I think we just have to trust that they'll be dedicated and work hard to make those worth it, and that it won't just go to waste. They are putting some skin in the game, and we're just offering a little bit of incentive to or making it more attainable, I guess, for them to get the rain barrels. So I think that, starting conservative with 10 gets us in a good spot.
Well, if anybody wants to make a motion, you both of you at this point.
So
we table this until Ross and Michelle are here.
We can, yeah. Do you have concerns?
Well, my thing is we don't necessarily have any low income residents. Yes, we have some elderly residents that are on limited incomes and that, but that's not the general population. Mm-hmm. And I just, with the budget concerns and increase in property taxes and all of that, it's still $280 and we gotta find somewhere. Okay. And I feel that we're a country, or, I don't know the correct wording for it at the moment, but most of the properties are established and they have these things in place if they want them. I think with our budget concerns, it's $280. So I think we need to wait for a fuller council.
Okay. We'll make a motion for that then?
I'll make a motion that we table the rain barrels until next city council.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion to table and a second. All in favor? Or any discussion? Further discussion, I should say. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, I think we will revisit that at the next full council members. I know we have some people absent next meeting, so we'll put it the one after following. Is that okay?
Okay.
Okay. Moving on, I think we'll start with the council comments. So a little out of order. We're going to jump here. Previous mayor, or we still call you Mayor Gordon? I think we can. I think you've earned that title, and
I know.
it just kids to hold on to it forever.
When I was serving as mayor, people would say, how should we address you? And I always said, Board Master, so that would be good for you.
Perfect. Well, let's, actually, I don't even think we have any other public works, no comments. The sheriff's report, do you have anything for tonight?
I have something, but we can go over it later.
More on it later.
It's up to you.
Well, let's go right now. Let's do your vote now. And then we'll
I'll be
do council
quick, I
report.
don't know.
Sorry, Gordon. One more. You've made it this long. You stay the rest of the time.
Just as a quick update for the month of February, it was pretty low call volume. Most of the incident numbers are traffic related. So 104 total, 62 of those are traffic. 44 citations were issued. What else? Sorry, I'm trying to be quick. Just a couple of person crimes, a couple child abuse cases that came in over the month. And our staffing has increased, so the compensation. We currently, sorry, I'm looking at the papers. We have had 4 complete field training in the month of February. 5 graduated the academy, which we have 10 in field training right now, today. And then we have 2 in the academy that are slated to be done in first part of May. So our staffing levels are getting there, so I think there's an increase that's been seen down in the city, I think. I've had comments from citizens, so hopefully that's positive. Any questions for me? Sorry, that's brief, but
That's brief. No, it's okay. I don't have any questions, just
Okay.
appreciate everything you guys been doing and the increased presence. It's been nice too.
And remind me again, for field training, those 10 that are in that currently, total length is 12 weeks?
So it's up to 16 weeks.
Oh, up to 16.
Yeah, before we make a determination on whether they are going to make it or not.
So over the next 16 weeks, 10 are eligible to
Yeah.
finish field training.
Yeah, so typically it's 12-week program, that's on-the-job training, and then we typically extend them a month. By then, we have a good idea if they're gonna be able to attain employment. I don't know if that's the proper term, but can't keep them on training forever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's been a good problem to have. We've been out of trucks. So I haven't seen this in 4 or 5 years. So the compensation package the county did really help. So,
That's a good problem to have.
yes,
On that
it's a
truck.
good problem to have. Oh, the other thing, the end of this month, the traffic unit, we will be adding 1 additional spot to the traffic unit, which will help get coverage on Saturdays. So,
Thank you. All right, now we're gonna move down to council comments. Dan, you have anything for us?
I got nothing this week.
Nothing, no updates on the grants at all?
Still playing phone tag.
Still playing phone tag, all right, we are waiting with bated breath.
Yeah.
Keith?
I had a chance to attend one of the meetings for animal services, animal control for Weaver County. Still learning what all the benefits the city gets from being in contract with them, and learning more about that. I think that we're hopeful to utilize some of the services offered in our contract soon. So that's the report on that.
Great. Gordon, do you want to take a second? Gordon's been, he's our appointed person for mosquito abatement. Oh, this is it. You're up now. Gordon has continued to sit on the mosquito abatement board for the city, and he has just circled back to give us a report.
Madam Mayor, members of council, thank you for the opportunity to come and address you tonight. I also want to say thank you for allowing me to continue to form a little bit of service for the city by being on the mosquito abatement. You should have a kind of a handout here in front of you there. We had, in January, we had our meeting, and meetings are on the 2nd Monday of the month at 6 o'clock at the Mosquito Abatement District Board building, and that's on 12th Street. And I know Councilmember Swanson, you've expressed some interest in going there. We'll work that out and get you to do a meeting, and you can see what great time we have there.
Great. And you said second Monday at 6?
Second Monday at 6. And make sure you don't get caught up in traffic on 12th Street where there's a train, or you'll be there all night. So anyway, so in that meeting in January, somebody distracted me, and I wasn't taking care of another question, and I ended up being voted in as the board chair. So
Congratulations.
you got to be on your toes with that group, or they'll pick on you. So that's it. First, I'd like to just bring up the agenda from the last meeting here. And let me back up just a little bit. We'll go over the agenda. It's funny how different things affect other things, unintended consequences, if you will, in government. See it all the time. You talk about the rain barrels. I think that's a great program. We need to conserve water. However, whenever we conserve water, that is breeding grounds for mosquitoes. One of the big complaints we have are people, and they have like tires or something out that collects just rainwater in there, and pretty soon we're full up with mosquitoes. I mean, it's so far, it's a big enough problem. The mosquito district actually goes around and has what they call briquettes and drop them through the stormwater drains, because that stormwater underneath there is just happy heaven for the mosquitoes. So that's that. So we'll go through this, let me bring up one other thing. On the meeting minutes for January 12th, if you'll go down and list all of the board members, then there's a paragraph there about who wasn't there, and you'll notice who our legal counsel is. And Brian does an excellent job, not only here, I think, but also for the mosquito district board. He's a lot of fun to be around. I know he doesn't really look that way, but he's a great guy. So we go down through the agenda there, it talks about the approval of the January 12th minute meetings, presentation of financial statements, very similar to what happens here. You can go back through there and it has a list of the checks that were written, how much they were written for, what's in our CD in Bank of Utah, and kind of the money stuff for that. So we had 2 months of that. Presentation by the GIS manager. Mr. Price works for the mosquito abatement district. He is our drone pilot. And we have a drone, mosquito district has a drone that is working out really, really well. Talking about getting maybe another drone to reduce the use of an airplane. We used to have our own airplane, the mosquito district did. Got too expensive to have, and that was contract out easier. So now we contract with a outfit that does Davis County, Salt Lake County, Weaver County, and some other counties in and around the state to do that. But if you ever get a chance, and we've had a demonstration of the drone that last year before, and it's really interesting to see how that drone works. And the airplane has to come in, swoop down, it has to go out so far and turn around and come back through there. So they can actually program the drone to go straight, and it works out a whole lot better and does it a lot faster. The problem is it only carries about 10 pounds of pellets, so it's back and forth to the truck to do that. So we do that. Presentation by the director's report. He talks about how many acres we've treated, whether it's adulticide or larvicide, how they treat it, and it's really pretty interesting. I will say a couple of things there. I'm going to make this real short, so go through there. But if you have a party, a wedding, a birthday party, whatever in your yard during the summertime, if you'll give them a call so they can get out the night before that, the mosquito district will actually make a special run to make sure that you're on there trying to hold the mosquitoes down for that. And you really don't even have to drive that or call out there. You can get on the website and schedule that. So that's one of the services they say. Right. If you have an ornamental pond or fish in it or whatever, they will come out and stock the little mosquito larvae eating fish in there to keep that down. And that goes back to the rain barrels. If the people get rain barrels, we want to make sure that they're kind of sealed, if you will, so the mosquitoes can't get in there to breed, and makes it easier. I'm not saying one program is more important than the other. Right now, I probably should be touting the mosquito board district saying, no, don't do this, but well, how important it is. We live in a desert and we need to conserve water. Then keep them there. then it's like similar here, board members' comments where the trustees get a chance to talk and saying they think is pertinent to the meeting. So that's it. If you go through there, you can see what our budget is, how far along we are with that budget. A lot of times we have some discussions about replacing equipment, like every place else, we're all driven by iPads. That's how they fly the drones, with iPads and stuff like that. So it's important to keep those up to date. We rotate the trucks in and out, fodders in and out, that kind of stuff. So it's pretty interesting. For me, when I got involved with it, I was so surprised how many different species of mosquitoes there were. I thought mosquito was a mosquito. Then they started talking about this one and that one and here and there. And mosquitoes they lay their larvae and they get down in the mud. It's been dry completely out for years. And then we get a big rainstorm and the larvae snap back to life. So wasn't pouring CPR on them or something. This year's been kind of weird. Pete Hill, who is the director, was up in the valley up in Eden. He was making comments that he was out taking care of his cows in February, and a species of mosquito came out that's never out in February. And it was so warm this year so you never know. People think, it's been pretty dry. We're not gonna have bad mosquito year. If we get a rainstorm at the right time or some moisture, we're gonna have problems with mosquitoes. So, and I don't know how much information you want. I used to bring in the report, the audit report, because I thought somebody from the city would want to come in and visit that. No, it's kind of, mosquitoes aren't too bad this year, they are bad, or something like that. So, appreciate that. Any questions, comments?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you
Sarcastic remarks?
always have those.
I look right in there,
I know,
sorry.
I know. We just appreciate you still being involved and not running for the hills the second you could have. Still staying engaged with the city and serving in this capacity and representing Uintah the way that you do at places like this.
Grand orders, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else, Teague, in your departments?
No.
Okay. Michelle, since she's not here, she is over community events, and Easter is one of her events, and that is coming up soon. Teague has graciously accepted the call to take over Easter this year for Michelle. We haven't decided yet for U days. We'll build that one as we get closer. We'll see how he does with Easter first. But we had our Bonneville Communities That Care youth work group today came in and stuffed all the Easter eggs. So those are ready to go. And I think we are ready for Easter. We just have a combined effort to maybe put them out this year. They did offer, if you want them to help set up, they'll be available for you.
Cool.
We had about, how many kids, 10, 12 here setting up.
Okay.
A handful of them would be available if you want them.
Okay.
Let me know if you want me to.
I mean, I would be interested. I've reached out to a couple of people in the community, but that would be an easy option if they are local. So I think I would like to take advantage of that offer. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you, and thank you for your willingness to help burden some of the load.
And so I did see there's some text went out today about donations for that. So we're still accepting donations, any that come in between now and the 4th. But yeah, the stuff, all the eggs that we have currently.
Yes.
So.
Yep, we still, yes, all of that's correct.
Great.
All right, next. No big updates with the water, fire department, sheriff's, nothing. We do have our half marathon in Bonneville Communities That Care. I guess that is your department now, isn't it?
Yep.
That is coming up August 22nd. We'll start posting information for that around, and I'll let Teague announce it from here on out. And then also, this is also yours as well. Our take back days that the Bonneville Communities That Care partners with South Ogden Police Department. They give an option for people to dispose their unused medication, so they are discarded safely and don't get into the hands of family or a burglary, oh my goodness, this is hard. People might steal them as an option and, or flush them down the toilet. We don't want them to go to any of those places. So this is a safe option where they can be destroyed, and that is April 25th. So we'll start putting all the information out for that as well. Okay, I think that's it. Any other gotchas?
So you want to mention the new proof on our website that they'll be able to go.
Yes, thank you. Our city staff are wonderful, and they saw a need for us to put a new place on our website for all of the community events that are going on. So there's a place for citizens to go and see what community events are going on, maybe what classes Weaver Basin is offering. These items are also added, just a place for all of our information that doesn't normally fit in the newsletter. They can go there and see what else is going on, what might not have fit in the newsletter.
I guess I have a forgotcha on that. There is, at Weaver County Animal Services is doing a free vaccine and microchipping day on March 28th, and it is on the city website under the same section, the same page, and so that's available to any Weaver County residents that want to go and get updated vaccinations or shots for their animals, or microchipping for any animals that they want microchip. So
Great, thank you. All right, I think that's it. I have a motion to adjourn.
We'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Motion, do a second?
I'll second it.
And a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you.